Hi and welcome. Today I have a piece for my small ring journal, art journal, and I start with a piece of mixed media paper, and it's about 3.5 by 5 approximately. And I took some stamps from a Stampers Anonymous selection, and I just arranged a bunch of numbers on my stamping block and stamp them on my mixed media paper. I'm using black StazOn ink. And until I don't get a whole image there, so I'm very careful and try to put it back in the same spot, and that's good. And next I'm using some spray Oxide and frayed burlap. And I spray some on the page, and then I spray some water on what was oversprayed, and I just start smooshing it onto my paper. And between each time I do that, I give it a dry, and then I'll smoosh some more and dry. And I find if I do that, I get a more layered effect and some deeper colors. And then I add a little bit of antique linen, just a couple spots of that. And I give that a dry. Now I'm gonna work on some collage papers, and most of these are from just old books and things. Like that piece was from an old cookbook, and this piece is from an old aviation book. Kind of look for interesting old books that are not expensive or rare or anything, so I don't mind ripping it up. And here I'd taken a book page and I had stamped it with a stamp from Rubber Dance. So I'm just figuring out how I want them layered. It's rare that I don't use any jelly prints in my collage, but I really didn't want a bunch of color. And so I just start taking my Tombow glue stick and gluing them down. And I flipped that one. It's like, oh, I like that side better, so I just swapped the side I had intended to use. So once they're all glued down, I just take some scissors and trim them to size. And I'm using this stencil, and it's just one I cut on my Cricut. And then I'm using some distress glaze and a little dauber, and I'm not doing all of the openings, all the circles, half circles, but some of them, and only on the paper, collage paper. And so I'm going to take some, this is some distress embossing glaze in speckled egg, and I'm very generous with it. I add some more just because I want to make sure I got everything covered. And the rest goes back into the jar. And now I'm using my embossing heat gun, which I also use just to dry everything, so it works for me. And so it's got a, you can't really tell from this angle, but it does have a glaze effect. And I'm taking some seedless preserves, Oxide, and I'm gonna smoosh that into some of the white areas. Actually, I do more than just the white areas, but and I give that a dry. And this is sprayed burlap again. And just adding that on top of some of the purple I just did, seedless preserves. So I want it to kind of look grungy, but I thought it needed some color. And now I'm taking that Art Graph white Taylor's chalk, and I'm gonna give some splatters. So I wet it down really good. And I wanted a bunch of splatters. And I'm very messy when I do it. I have those splatters all over my mat, even on my camera that is above it. So it makes a mess. It's probably just me though, how I do it. Okay, so I'll dry all that, and then I gave it a spray fixative because this is mostly water soluble, so I don't want to mess it up a lot. So I sprayed it with a fixative, but it's a gloss fixative, which I don't really like, but that's what I've got. And so to get rid of the glossiness, I then put on a matte varnish from Liquitex. And my focal image is going to be these two butterflies. They are from another project, scraps. So I have cut them out, and I actually sprayed the back of them with that frayed burlap, just to kind of get rid of the whiteness around the edges. And then I'm gluing them in the center of the body, not the whole thing, because I've kind of bent the wings out just a bit, just so they're a little bit dimensional. And the last thing is my sentiment, which is enjoy simple things. And I got and made that on my Cricut. And that is it. I hope this inspires you to create some art of your own. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and have a great day.